sorry to have cut you off there at the end of the last video. I realised I was just getting to the 15-minute mark, but the reason why I've ruined them so much is that we are getting to a really quite an interesting part of the game now. Apart from the fact I've got to rebuild all those satellites. But it's thanks to that triple tech that I managed to get this tech. A triple energy even. And I've just realised I've not set my stopwatch going yet. So I'll probably finish it about half a minute early. And this is a critical tech. Now we've reached we're near the far reaches of the tech tree now. We can start to build the voice of planets, which begins the ascent to transcendence sequence. Any faction can now build the ascent to transcendence. Alien life forms get a +1 life cycle bonus. So essentially done is build the Apollo program. It's a technological video. Instead of building a spaceship though, you have to build the ascent to transcendence. It costs 2,000 minerals. It takes absolutely ages. And completes the transcendence sequence and ends the human era. That's right. We're going to move on from the human era of life as we know it. What is transcendence? You'll find out. And I highly recommend that once I build the voice of planet, you go over to YouTube. In fact, you're on YouTube because you're watching this, but go over and watch the video because it's just amazing. It explains perfectly what's going on. And
project initiated.
Here's the interlude from the Book of Planets. Could you start the new video because I've got to do my narration voice. Good evening. Mission interlude from the Book of Planets. Mission year 2374. I'm going to stop that now. It's been a rough year at Morgan Industries, and tempers are beginning to flare at your council sessions. Across the entire region, citizens are reporting strange dreams and even rudimentary contacts. A new cult revering planets as a vengeful saviour has gained wide popularity among the drone population, and even with many normals. Its prophets calling themselves flowers preach a gospel of abstinence, pacifism, and destruction of private property. Sounds a bit socialist to me. Beatniks. The telepathi of the empath schools aren't talking, but many have quietly begun selling off their possessions and withdrawing from public life. Meanwhile, cultural life continues unabated. A new dance, the planetary thunder, is sweeping the rec domes throughout the faction. Dancers stomp in time to the beat and claw at their eyes. Oh, I guess just how decadent we are. They wouldn't be able to joke about this, the 2100s. No, not at all. I remember it well. Morgan Pharmaceuticals has released several new recreational drugs, and the hollow PSI virtual life industry is having one of its most successful years ever. As for yourself, you haven't heard from her voice much lately. She seems... she? I would have thought a massive planet with a sentience wouldn't have had agenda, but there we go. Seems preoccupied with her poetry. You'll have to admit she's gotten a lot better since her early doggerel, which we were very critical about. Some of her newest verse is so deep as to stagger the imagination. More ominously, her predictions of growth dream have become more frequent and more forceful. You have also ordered work on a new secret project you called the Voice of Alpha Centauri, a kind of synergistic PSI projector. It should, if all goes well, allow voice to think and communicate more effectively. A prosthetic aid wired directly to the main colony data links. You have not yet mentioned this project to voice. So we're going behind the back of planet to open up a link, a channel to communicate directly with planet. I finished a cup of tea ages ago.
Drone riots have ended. Production complete.
So yeah, we're really getting this is end game. So what happens now?
Production complete.
Is everybody who's nearby and people who aren't build supply crawlers.
Production complete. Production complete.
Actually, it's a comfortable score. I may as well build a few. Oh, they're not happy.
Drone riots.
I don't think you're quite ready for Hub Complex yet, but you know.
Project complete.
It's useless really, but it just counted the score, so I'm all for that.
Project
you can build that.
initiated.
Everybody else needs to build.
Request confirmation. Drone riots. Request
Oh god,
confirmation.
you're one turn away from a network node. Just
Production
control
complete.
yourselves, people.
Maximum population reached.
Actually, I'm not playing much like it's endgame, but it really is getting up to endgame.
Drone riots.
I can afford it.
Maximum population
And
reached.
that would be the colony that benefits most. You've got nothing else to do, so supply crawler it is. Because what happens is, in this period, and certainly between opening up the Voice of Planet and Central
Maximum
Transcendence,
population reached.
the fungus and native life forms go nuts. It's supposed to be a real sort of endgame scenario. It's got to stop saying endgame.
Drone riots.
I'm sure you get just how critical this is. It's not help by those bloody drones.
Production complete.
What's the deal with these? I thought we had a whole bunch of recreational drugs. You can build a supply crawler, but for reasons other than for the common good. And then once you've done that, you can build another one.
Production complete. Production complete. Maximum population reached.
How's that affecting my research? Yeah, not bad really. See, I've almost discovered everything now. Explore, a bit of conquer. I also just know that my noticed my playing speed has increased phenomenally.
Terraform complete.
Because it's getting to an exciting part, I don't want to be wasting time with formers. Actually, change of plan. This is actually really wasteful, so I wouldn't recommend it, but you
Request
build that.
confirmation.
We'll get a couple of bases down here. You as well.
Request confirmation. Request confirmation.
You can build the Pholus mutagen. You would build the manifold harmonics if you weren't revolting. Both, you know, literally and...
Request confirmation.
There's a Nethac terminus, for all the good it does.
Insufficient energy.
And I can't quite afford that, but my god, look at all that energy. You need to rebuild all these forests. £18 energy a year from Morgan Industries. Of course it's temporary, but wow. Forest, kelp, forest, industrial collapse.
This unusual specimen is not so much a classic particle as a connector, a kind of string attaching two particles. As distance increases, the connective power becomes attenuated, but if it is caught, the power vanishes forever.
Here we are talking about.
Academician Prokhor Zakharov, for I have tasted the fruit.
So I've already broken time, distance, and all the rest of the fundamental laws of the universe. We're now attacking gravity with the graviton theory. And grav ships can cross land and sea. They have all the fuel. They're not fuel units, they're not air units, so they don't have fuel in that sense. Maybe they do. No, wait, no, it's unlimited. So they can just sort of cross over oceans like nobody's business. Over fungus, over mountains, over any sort of terrain. And drop pods can make orbital insertions anywhere on planet.
Maximum population reached.
Oh, I'm glad
Maximum
somebody's happy.
population reached. Request confirmation. Production complete.
A distribution. Morgan distribution. Live up to your name and distribute.
Production complete. Production complete. Maximum
I
population
don't really care.
reached. Maximum population reached. Maximum population reached.
Why is everyone
It is
so
a medical
happy?
commonplace that the tissues of the human body replace themselves regularly, essentially creating an entirely new body every 7 years.
This is true.
From whence then come cancer and the slow degeneration of age. They exist as folds in the patterns of intelligence within the genes themselves. By reprogramming these smallest parts, the whole becomes well.
It's a good point.
Academician Prokhor Zakharov, nonlinear genetics.
You send in nano robots to affect the makeup of a genetic makeup of a cell. You can alter, because aging is caused by a build-up of chemical. I can't remember what it's called now, but in young people it's only a small part of the cell. But every time it regenerates, it creates a little bit more, and it's completely useless. This chemical is, and by the time you get to your 70s, when you've reached your end of your natural lifespan, this chemical makes up most of the cell, which is why your cells appear wrinkled, crumpled, and everything starts to slow down and get old and die off, really. And that's dying of old age. I mean, one of your organs suddenly cannot cope with the amount of this energy, this chemical that's in it, and it just gives up the ghost.
Maximum population reached.
Well, fairly depressing, but the good news is that nanorobots will be able to cure this in the future. Cancer is something similar. It's where some form of radiation, either from cosmic rays, which really are things, they're not just a hippie kind of phrase, or other forms of radiation on Earth cause mutations to occur, which is one of the consequences of radiation, really. And it's a mutation of the genetic code, so that the cells reproduce themselves. And things like, cure for cancer would be to send in nanorobots small enough to alter the chemicals of the DNA to stop it. Which I suppose is what you do in a nano hospital. Quite a nice thought, really.
Golden age begun.
What goes up?
Better doggone well stay up. Making 2 techs a turn.
Company slogan.
2 techs a turn. Get the graviton gun. Firepower of 20. We're getting really strong now. This is the second class weapon. Controlled singularity is the last one, I believe. That's the last military tech and the last tech you can discover. But it's insanely powerful. It's level 20. The tachyons are 12, I think, and the missiles are 6. Chaos is 8. That's 20. Just to put it in some form of
Request confirmation.
comparison.
Production complete.
Anyway, we're not going to get to the end of this before the end of this turn, but carry on watching, people, because we're getting to the end game, and I will just stop saying that.